Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we are going to dive into a very special, rare topic in the world of astrology. We're going to discuss a triple conjunction that's occurring here in 2026 between Uranus in Gemini, Sedna in Gemini, and the Pleiadian star cluster in Gemini. Each of these energies is in the very beginning points of Gemini at 0 and 1 degrees. They are aligning in 2026, creating a very powerful activation that is going to defrost and bring alive frozen ancient consciousness, lost stories, forgotten wisdom, star lineage memories, and new ways of deeply understanding more of who we are at a core level of our being. So I'm going to try to break this down in a very simple way. I have to tell you, I'm so excited about this topic. I just feel there's going to be a lot of cool information that transpires over this cycle. So what we have is Uranus in Gemini at the very beginning of the astrological sign. It takes Uranus about 84 years to move through all 12 astrology signs. So Uranus has not been here in the early degrees of Gemini for 84 years. That's important to note. Secondly, we have Sedna in Gemini now at 0 and 1 degree. And Sedna moves very slowly. In fact, it takes Sedna 11,400 years-ish to move through all 12 astrology signs. She is located far beyond our solar system, as her orbit is vast and extends beyond what we have even fully comprehended yet. Sedna was only recently discovered on November 14th, 2003 in California. So this is relatively a new understanding of her presence, her power, and her consciousness. But we are understanding more of what Sedna represents as she moves slowly through each degree of the zodiac wheel. So she can spend a few years at a single degree point. That's very important to note. And so here she is at 0 and 1 degrees of Gemini in 2026, making a rare conjunction with Uranus in Gemini. Now, this conjunction is said to occur only once a century, simply because of how slow moving the energies are and how long it takes them to sync up. So that alone is important. Then we bring in the fact that the Pleiadian star cluster is also located here at 0 degrees of Gemini. And the Pleiadian energy is often connected to the 7 sisters, which are the brightest stars in the Pleiadian star cluster. They are also the easiest to spot with the naked eye. They are very bright, although tiny and shimmering, and they give off a beautiful blue color that we can spot on clear nights. Of course, it is better with a telescope, but they are essentially a family of stars. They also have, when you're looking at them, this very faint nebula around them, like their light scatters and their light glows. So they have more of a presence as well. So right here, in this triple conjunction lineup, we have the energies of 8 strong feminine powers, the 7 sisters plus Sedna, and then we bring in Uranus, the sky god, the one associated with electrical storms, powerful breakthroughs, sudden awakenings, lightning fast realizations, and a dynamic force of change. So in your astrology chart at 0 and 1 degrees of Gemini is where this triple conjunction is occurring. And it is active right now, the end of April into May. And in fact, Uranus will be exactly conjunct Sedna May 24th at 1 degree of Gemini. This conjunction also came about back in 2025, but it wasn't exactly conjunct. So yes, it was in effect starting in 2025 when Uranus entered Gemini from July 7th until November 7th. But now here in May 2026 is when the conjunction is exact, therefore more powerful, and creating a whole new cosmic current of energy. It is a very strong change in the cosmic pulse, in the sky, in the air, which is what Uranus rules, especially in the air sign of Gemini, but then it also directly relates to the ocean depths, which is Sedna's domain. She is known as the mother of the sea, as she rules the icy Arctic Ocean and the deep, dark places in the ocean that are yet to be discovered. She is associated with frozen consciousness and what we are thawing and bringing into our awareness. Then, of course, we pull in the mystical, magical energies of the Pleiadian seven sisters, who also connect us to heightened intuition, feminine guidance, awakening themes, a sense of home, and even star lineage belonging that you start to feel and sense at a deeper level of your being. The Pleiadians also represent beauty, harmony, peace, and grace. They are connected to heart-level awakenings and a higher level of intelligence that reminds us of the bigger picture of this temporary journey. So we have a very significant triple conjunction occurring here. In your chart, you would identify where you have 0 to 1 degrees of Gemini as the house placement is where you are being activated in this area of your life at a very deep emotional level of your being that directly relates to new ways of perceiving the world, yourself, and your environment, new ways of thinking, new concepts, higher awareness. I feel like actually this is going to be the beautiful starting point for even more effortless channeling and powerful downloads with higher galactic frequencies. That's a strong imprint here in this triple conjunction. And so where you have that 0 to 1 degrees of Gemini is where you're going to be experiencing that energy more personally. The house placement is the area of life and the environment where this energy is going to be felt for you. And if you have planets or points in the early degrees of Gemini, and I'm keeping this at a tight orb of 0, 1, maybe 2 degrees of Gemini, if you have planets or points there, this is a significant life-changing phase of your journey that is opening you up to even more that you are coded to understand and process at this time in your life. These are all slow-moving energies. Uranus is the fastest moving energy. So you would have had some sparks and openings back in 2025. Now Uranus has returned, and this energy is going to be more intense, and you're going to feel it at a whole new level that could even inspire new projects, new plans, new ways of living your life. It can bust open new levels of intelligence and understanding. You might have a sense that you're thinking at a deeper, higher level. You're understanding even more from a greater cosmic level. You could also feel that your voice is changing, your words are changing, the way you communicate and express yourself is evolving. Essentially, any of the Gemini themes in your life are going to be deeply impacted by this triple conjunction. And something else that's very important is that this triple conjunction lasts for 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years. So yes, it did initially start in 2025. The exact conjunction is happening here in May, but it lasts long term because of how slowly Sedna moves. And as I mentioned, Sedna can spend a few years at each degree point. So whatever is beginning now is going to continue to unfold over the next few years here in the Gemini areas of your chart. and you're going to have new understandings, new narratives, and new wisdom come alive. I'm going to get to that here in just a moment, but it's important to know that this is a long-term influence. So if you're like, okay, I'm ready now, I'm ready here, May 2026, I'm ready for all the downloads and openings and expansions, keep in mind that this is lightning fast understandings that will be unfolding, and you might be surprised at what changes for you over the course of the next few years. Keep in mind, if you have the conjunction exactly to these Gemini points, it's working with you more powerfully. Yes, it's working with all of us. But again, if you have the Gemini energies, it is more personal. If you have planets or points at 0, 1, or 2 degrees of the air signs of Libra and Aquarius, this is also creating a trine for you that is a beautiful opening flow of new ideas, understandings, concepts, communications, personal expressions, and even the throat chakra and third eye chakra expansion. I'm also seeing it in the crown chakra. So the top chakras are definitely being expanded and lit up, and it's working beautifully with all air signs. If you have planets or points at 0 to 2 degrees of Aries or Leo, this energy is also working with you through a sextile, which is a beneficial evolutionary development of your fire sign creativity, growth, momentum, goals, actions, and personal expressions. This energy is going to bring alive more of who you came here to be so that you can share it, discuss it, and offer it in a whole new way. If you have planets or points from 0, 1 to 2 degrees of Sagittarius, this is creating an opposition for you that is sparking alive new ways of perceiving your life, your choices, and your abilities. This energy asks for greater thought and processing, requiring you to ask more questions, to not make assumptions, and to not be locked into expectations. This opposition is requiring you to expand what you previously believed and be willing to see it in a new way with the new information that arrives. If you have planets or points between 0, 1, and 2 degrees of Virgo and Pisces, this is creating a square that's pushing you to move faster, communicate more, ask more questions, explore more possibilities, and perhaps it even feels a bit overwhelming and that it's all happening too fast, or there's too much going on that is hard to organize, work with, or prioritize. So the square is going to be deeply accelerating daily life and impacting those early Pisces and Virgo energies in a way that can be really uncomfortable. But the trick is to stay light on your feet, to just stay open, adaptable, free-flowing, go with it, move with it, try it. And this is how you're going to be able to embrace your natural agility. So now let's get into some of the deeper energies and potentials associated with this triple conjunction. And I want to start with Sedna, because I think Sedna holds a lot of the important themes here in this triple conjunction. Plus, I have done previous shows for you already discussing Uranus and Gemini, and I don't want to be too repetitive. So understanding that Uranus and Gemini is awakening us to new questions, new levels of awareness, new ways of communicating and reading energy, new things for us to ponder, consider, and understand. Also, requiring new questions, to not assume that we have it all figured out or that we know the full story. This triple conjunction is actually bringing us into the depths of untold stories, narratives, and myths that have been lost in time. Also parts of our ancestors' lineage and information they held that has been perhaps frozen, forgotten, or silenced. So Sedna connects to a deeper soul destiny that we are here to move through and rise above. I have done previous shows for you on Sedna. In fact, I did a podcast for you 2 years ago April 22nd, 2024, discussing Sedna in Gemini themes from a human evolutionary standpoint with the intention of understanding that she moves very slowly and that her journey is connected to a slow ascension process, a slow ongoing ascension process of consciousness. So take the example of a scuba diver who goes down into the depths of the ocean to check it out, explore, and be in the watery underworld. Well, that scuba diver has to ascend slowly in order to work with the physics of rising up through the ocean. And so they rise up for a certain amount of time and then have to stop and adapt to the environment, the pressure, and how it affects the body. Rising too quickly is detrimental. So that is a way to think of the Sedna energy, is that it does move slowly, which of course tracks with how slowly she moves through each degree point of the zodiac wheel. And I also want to share with you that there is a book written by Jennifer Gell on Sedna. It's called The Return of Planet Sedna. And I want to give it a shout out because she is one who has brought this information to the forefront of our consciousness. She brings in other ways of understanding Sedna and her themes. So do check out The Return of Planet Sedna if you are intrigued by this energy and want to learn more about it. So getting back to this topic here of this triple conjunction, Sedna is about then the depths of the ocean, and her mythology brings in the parts of the soul that have been rejected, silenced, isolated, exiled, the parts of our soul memory that we have perhaps lost touch with, but we're now becoming highly aware of those feelings and emotions. That's why Sedna is connected to frozen consciousness and what we haven't fully embraced or thawed. We are thawing Sedna at this time. We are thawing her stories, which involves ancient global stories, lost wisdom from our ancestors. I think about cultures that rely upon ongoing storytelling and oral traditions to share knowledge, history, values, and what needs to be passed down across generations. That's also what Sedna represents. Here, as she's working with the Pleiadians and Uranus, she's bringing alive more of our forgotten galactic history, our galactic stories. She's going to bring to the forefront more visuals, images, and understandings of our experiences in other dimensions and other lifetimes. She brings it into that third eye chakra and wants to connect it to your voice chakra so that you can express it and understand it. Also, there's a connection here that can bring up a lot of grief. There can be a lot that gets released as this consciousness is no longer frozen. It comes to our forefront what we have been repressing, silencing, or holding back. And there could be a sense that something is breaking open that has previously been unseen, but it's connected to the remembrance of your soul's deeper experiences. So for example, you could be going through something here in your physical human reality that actually directly connects to another galactic experience you have had in another timeline or on another planet that you're meant to heal now through your human emotional expression. And we are also going to be feeling that at a collective level. This brings up the collective spiritual wounds of the human experience that we are here to move through, to powerfully shift, deeply heal, and transmute. The Pleiadian energy offers ways to do that with a deep connection to higher heart intelligence, with an understanding that you're in control of where this energy goes and that you can beautifully wrap it in higher frequencies of love for yourself and others, understanding what has shaped you and formed you, but has not shut you down. The Pleiadian energies are all about that expansive, loving compassion that we are able to connect with and embody even when life is hard and times are tough. I feel like this Pleiadian energy wants you to also see yourself through a higher cosmic lens, that this is only one human experience in your soul's whole journey. This is only one temporary experience of the physical world. And so how would that shift your awareness and your consciousness to approach whatever is going on from a higher viewpoint of being more compassionate, loving, powerful, and clear in yourself? And this is what then starts to shift our mental perceptions in Gemini. It changes what we are seeing and what we're picking up on. And as that perspective changes, we then give voice to a new story and new ways of perceiving our reality that we hadn't considered before. And then Uranus brings in those lightning quick understandings of what that could be. So you could have some powerful, deep shifts that occur overnight. You could have some fast moving breakthroughs that set you free from a previous story, wound, energy, or experience that now Uranus wants you to think of it in a new way. Sedna is helping you rise above, and the Pleiadians are offering you more compassionate self-love, that you are beautifully equipped to handle whatever it may be, simply because it's a passing part of your physical reality. And the whole story changes when you move it into higher consciousness. The energy of Sedna, again, is icy and arctic and cold. And you could feel that there are parts of your energy that are thawing, warming, and opening, especially in May, when we will then have the sun conjunct 0 and 1 degrees of Gemini. And the sun, of course, brings in the warmth and light to allow something to be seen in a whole new way and to understand how it's empowering you in supporting your conscious growth. And that also occurs during the Uranus Sedna exact conjunction. Pretty miraculous, actually, because that Uranus Sedna conjunction could happen any day of the year. It just so happens to coincide with the sun moving into Gemini, and I feel that brings about a whole new shift and level of personal understanding. I'm seeing a lot of people waking up. In fact, I just got the visual of being in a coma and then being brought right back into this reality, like someone literally returning to their physical body and wakening up suddenly and quickly and seeing something in a whole new light. I've actually heard stories of people waking up from a coma and they are suddenly speaking a different language, or they have a whole new mental perception of their world and their reality. And so, of course, there would be scientific understandings of this, but I'm feeling this at a cosmic level, a cosmic awakening of suddenly understanding more about your soul's origins, your star family, or your off-planet home base. And for many starseeds, you're actually composed of multiple star systems and energy imprints. So you could feel, for example, that you deeply resonate with the Pleiadians and their energy and frequency, but you could also have a connection to Lyra, Sirius, or any other star system that calls to you. So it doesn't have to be one, but essentially it's what composes various parts of your soul experience that you are now embodying here on this planet. So we're going to have a lot of galactic awakenings because of this triple conjunction. This also ushers in more stories around disclosure, ETs, benevolent galactic family members who are here to help Earth's ascension. I also feel that this is moving the planet closer to a galactic gathering where there are already, of course, many off-planet councils that meet to discuss what is going on in the galaxy. But I feel like there's an up-leveling here where there's going to even be more human representation in those galactic gatherings and more awareness of how we relate and contribute to cosmic beings and other souls in our galaxy. It is that expansive. And then Sedna brings up all the harm that's been done at a human level around believing in ETs and aliens and other planetary beings. This brings up the wounds that have been passed down or carried through generations, where people have been denied their voice in what they've experienced or what they have lived through, especially through interactions with non-human beings. I'm also seeing that this Sedna in Gemini with this triple conjunction is going to be thawing and opening up more of the galactic stories that have been shared through generations that have been misinterpreted, and how there have always been cultures on the planet deeply connected to galactic messengers and galactic understandings, but it's been misinterpreted. It hasn't been fully understood. It was almost like it went off in a wrong direction and took us off course. I'm now being pulled into the energy field of each continent on the planet has galactic stories and cosmic messages that have started to be understood. And of course, there's specialists in this who have devoted their lives to understanding how Earth has regularly interacted with other beings. But I'm getting the visual of how each continent holds important wisdom and understandings that has been covered up, misinterpreted, misunderstood, and it even has been lost. It hasn't been fully discovered yet. So this is a triple conjunction where even more of those stories are going to come to the forefront, but it won't be shared necessarily through mass media or through standard communication. It's going to be more niche that requires more searching for it. But those stories are already out there. They're already being shared, but they come across as questions or mythology, or could it be true? And they bring about doubt. Well, this is going to be a time when it brings about more questions, greater observation, and greater detailed analysis of what we're discovering and what it means. And so on that note, Sedna is also connected to dark matter, which is invisible yet abundant. Dark matter is known for being much more abundant than ordinary matter, and it cannot be seen with light. And so this relates to Sedna's story of her being in the depths, darkest parts of the ocean. So she is leading us to new scientific breakthroughs and understandings of what resides within the ocean, what resources are available there that we haven't fully developed or used. She's also connected with all of the Arctic terrain, including Antarctica, and what is being explored and discovered in that part of the globe. Some say that Sedna also relates to the ongoing development of AI, artificial intelligence, and with the conjunction from Uranus, does this mean that AI becomes conscious? There is rapid quantum growth beyond what human intelligence can perceive, and that this is also termed AI singularity, which is a theoretical future point when the AI surpasses human understanding, and it is known as being potentially irreversible, as well as wildly unpredictable. These are all qualities associated with Uranus. So part of this conjunction is an understanding of where things will go rapidly, quickly, and at a quantum level that changes the course of human intelligence, our whole knowledge base, and opens us up to even more cosmic wisdom that will probably blow our minds. So there's a lot here, and that's why it can also be difficult to understand it all, because it moves so fast. It's too much to absorb, and it's certainly too much to think through at times. We're going to start to open up beyond duality and become more aware of the multi-layered energies in the galaxy. This is going to be shown as new images and visuals that you're picking up on and seeing that perhaps feel very sci-fi. They come out of the blue, you're like, what am I seeing? And it could even feel like in your waking state, you're in a dream, in a sci-fi dream, and there's more going on that takes you out of the ordinary. We're going to have heightened intuition, greater sensitivity to energies and each other, increased telepathy, more ways of reading energy and understanding a situation or an environment. And all of this can bring about higher level galactic awakenings for those who hold the frequencies and the energy that aligns. And this is going to be a big part of what unfolds over the next few years. You're going to have more instant knowingness about how to navigate your life, and it's not going to make sense. And it's so bizarre, but as I'm sharing all this with you, I'm getting my own flashback of an example to offer. And this goes back over 20 years ago when I lived in Paris, and my boyfriend and I were on bikes exploring one of the big parks on the east side of the city. We went off on a random path, as you do, enjoying the day, looking for a place to have lunch. There were no cell phones back then, not like there are now. So you just had to find what you could find as you went. And we came across a boulangerie that was our only option for food. And I stopped right in front of it and I'm like, I'm not going in there. And he's looking at me like, what? I thought you're hungry. What? You're not going in there? I'm like, no, I am not going in there. And he got impatient. He's like, okay, I'll go get the sandwich. He goes in there. He comes out so mad and pissed off because of the woman behind the counter was like spitting venom at him. And I am in no way making any statement about the French, but I'm saying this particular person was so horrible to him that he was in such a bad mood afterwards. And I realized that's why I didn't want to go in there. I knew that before going in there. I sensed this energy is gross and wrong, and I'm not entering into this place, even though it's the only food option. And I know many of you are like that too. And you've been like that most of your life. You just knew I am not going over there, but I'm absolutely going over here. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense. People question you. They're like, what are you talking about? Why wouldn't you do that? Or what's wrong with it? They're looking for a logical understanding. Of course. But this is where our heightened awareness speaks faster than we even know why. And again, some of you have been like this your whole life. Now, millions of people are going to be like this. This is going to awaken even more people to that instant understanding of energies and environments, of people, of situations, whatever it may be. And it will be up to us to trust it and work with it. And part of this is that you won't know why. You won't fully understand. Why am I not supposed to go in there? Or why am I supposed to take a right instead of a left on my way home from work? Why am I supposed to go over here and not over there? You don't know why. You won't have the clear answer. But when you're connected to these frequencies, you're trusting them and you're working with them, chances are maybe you avoided an accident or a construction zone. Maybe you avoided something that would have made your day worse or something you didn't need to experience or move through. So you won't fully know, and that's okay. That's part of how our mental energies are going to be shifting, is that there's a new sense of I simply allow myself to work with the energies as they arrive more regularly on a daily basis without needing an answer. Until you meet a negative, mean person, and then you understand that's why I wasn't meant to go into that boulangerie. All of this validates our expanding capabilities to be wiser energy readers. And that's part of what this triple conjunction is going to awaken within all of us, or at least those who are ready. Another strong theme here is that we're going to be healing the silenced voice, the lost stories, the myths and narratives that were not fully embraced. And so we're learning to give more energy to what we're ready to reclaim. And that is personal to you. That's personal to each of us. And when you pull in the Pleiadian energy frequency, you're going to feel that you're doing it from an empowered, loving place. You're not speaking or expressing from the lower ego, from anger, or from an unhealed place or a wound. Rather, you are pulling in and working with the higher frequencies that reveal this is important for me to be speaking with my heart intelligence, with my compassion, with my truth and my power, all beautifully working and dancing together in their highest amplified form. And that's part of what we're going to be hearing differently in each other's voices and in each other's words. We're going to be picking up on deeper meaning that is also highly relatable. I feel this as a beautiful new experience of conversations, words, sounds, channeling, music, all of these realms that Gemini rules. It's elevating. And we're going to be sensing that through multiple symbols, glyphs, and energy signals. And related to that, there are many people who in this lifetime are healing where they've been silenced, where they've been repressed or frozen. And there's going to be a lot more that is communicated and shared that is part of the healing experience of this lifetime that deeply relates to the Sedna core themes in Gemini, plus the activations from Uranus and the deep emotional compassion of the Pleiadians. Remember, this is quiet at first. As something thaws, it doesn't necessarily yell. It's going to slowly gain strength, and then there's going to be perhaps shocking clarity where you just get it, you just see it, you just understand it. Whatever it is for you, there's going to be powerful breakthroughs here that are bigger than you. That's because that Sedna energy relates to an ancestral lineage. And I believe this is where many people are not only healing their genealogy and their lineage, but you're changing the trajectory of the cosmic development in your family, because I'm seeing this actually related strongly to the maternal line. Trust what is right for you, but I'm feeling maternal because the triple conjunction involves the power of 8 feminine forces. And so maybe you're even healing 8 generations of silenced feminine wisdom. And we can apply that through a historical lens quite accurately. I mean, we can go back and look at all the ways the feminine has been repressed and silenced and needing to seek additional permission to vote, to go to college, to get a credit card, to have her own job and economic stability. You can look at it through the lens of the various women's movements around the globe and across multiple cultures and generations. But this energy, if we were to go back 8 generations, a few centuries of analysis, that's a big timeline for understanding what the feminine has had to move through in order to be seen, respected, valued, and loved. I know right there it's a huge topic. I'm not going to get into it in this podcast, but I want to offer that as something else to consider for yourself in terms of where you come from, where your mom came from, your grandmother. And keep in mind, even though it feels maternal, you might realize, oh, this connects to my father's mother or my grandmother on her side, my great-great-great-grandmother, and so on and so forth. Those are stories that are often forgotten and lost. Women's versions of events were not recorded. They were not duly documented or noted. We've all heard the saying that history is written by the victors. It's now taking me back into my college undergrad years where I minored in women's studies. That's what it was called then, before it was called gender studies. And all the discussions from Virginia Woolf, Audre Lorde, Bell Hooks, and so many more that were presented with various intentions. But at least my personal desire was to hear more stories of women's experiences. That's part of what Sedna is going to reveal. That's part of what is going to come to the forefront. And that is part of what needs to be written and shared. So very strong feminine energy here, which I believe is a part of the divine feminine rising within all of us, within each of us, but also calling us into more of what we have forgotten and haven't known before. So that could certainly be at an intellectual level, but also at a soul level, where you just sense and feel that you are drawn to certain stories and cultures because it resonates with you at a soul level, where you had lifetimes as a wise Native American elder, or you resided in Nepal, or you were deeply connected to agricultural practices in Kenya. We're going to start to feel and sense more of our energetic imprints on the planet and what you have experienced there, as well as what you are rising through and healing that brings you a new understanding of yourself and your journey. It is that big. It is that vast. You might even have some powerful breakthroughs around why you chose certain lifetimes and soul experiences and how it directly relates to your own galactic lineage and cosmic story. So you could have understandings, for example, of being Arcturian and then needing to bring in that regal, intelligent energy onto the planet, and you've been working with it through multiple lifetimes. Or you have a strong connection to the Pleiadian energies, and you are here to bring in more compassion vortexes and loving energies into your community, into your family, and you're the one who's changing what that means for your local tribe, whether that is family, friends, or just your community. So, of course, unlimited stories are possible here, but this triple conjunction is a big deal for how it is expanding us into more of what we're here to understand and perceive at this time in our journeys. On the other end of the spectrum, there can be too much going on. There can be mental overwhelm, information overload. There can be a difficult time discerning the truth and figuring out what is real from me, what is a conspiracy, what doesn't align. You could feel that you're taking in too much stimuli, you don't know how to process it, and it's creating greater anxiety and stress. There can also be breakdowns in communications, especially if assumptions are made and clear communication and conversations are not had. The Gemini information requires an exchange of understanding to see if you're on the same page, working with the same details and the same facts. So it will be essential to ask clarifying questions and to ensure that you are working with all the necessary information. The strength of this energy is beginning now, and it will unfold for the next 2 years, which is also a period of time astrologically that is very difficult to make any solid predictions or to quote unquote know what's going to happen. Rather, this is entering into a much higher frequency of the unknown. And I think that this triple conjunction is going to be very important in how we navigate this time and know what choices to make that are clear and solid for you. For some reason, this topic really makes me happy. I've been smiling during this whole show. So I might do another podcast going into this even more. Please let me know in the comments if you would like that, because I feel that there is a very well-deserved up-leveling of information here that feels really solid and exciting, also very galactic and cosmic, and it's going to even be easier to access your sovereign voice and to trust it and use it more frequently and more gracefully. So, as always, thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I hope this was helpful for you and brought about some interesting things to consider and understand, especially as this triple conjunction occurs in May 2026 and will unfold for the next few years. I look forward to connecting with you again on Wednesday as we discuss the weekly energies, and then I'll be back next Monday with another special topic. Have a beautiful day ahead. Thank you so much for your energy and time, and I'll see you back here soon.